So hello again everyone, this is Nukeshot Zokyo on Dynamic Racing Leagues here once again to bring you the action at the Dynamic Racing Leagues Super Formula Championship. Currently in round 5 we are at the Blue Moon Bay Tri-Oval. So we're going to be expecting some very high speed action here today. Of course, this race in line with the real life Indy 500. Of course, quite a few drivers racing retro liveries as well. We've also seen some tributes to the late Niki Lauda, of course, as well. Drivers paying their respects. But yeah, some of the cars will be looking a fair bit different. One that's looking similar to how it was previous is the car of Ayrton Senna. This might actually be the first time seeing him in Super Formula. I can't recall whether he was there last time. But of course the Judd-powered Team Black Diamond machine, much talked about throughout the paddock. GRM Bandit, currently in a yellow and green Benetton livery, if I recall correctly. You can see being chased down by Ferrari. I believe that is the Ferrari of our current fastest driver on track, Dynamic Carbon, and of course Series House, also with their tribute helmet. So Carbon now switching to Ferrari for this particular race. Of course, we have BRT James, recently changed his name. You may remember them as BRT Jim, but they're still in car number 44. My theory is they changed the name to not be confused with the other Jimmy, or with Jim Jam rather. Jim Jam not here. Now, at least this moment in time, but BLT James is indeed. So we've seen GRM Bandit on track. We've got John Wandering here in a Lotus-inspired machine. That classic livery of the British racing green and the yellow stripes. His racing number, of course, number 88. Looking mighty classy, I have to say so, sir. And Brandon, who is also running a Niki Lauda tribute. Good to see him making a return as well. Currently the slowest of everyone who's set a time so far. I believe this is still practice. There's been a little bit of confusion. James has just gone fastest of all, as there's a big contact between him and the Ferrari of Carbon. So slipstreaming probably going to be absolutely key when it comes to the qualifying laps. We'll have to see. Also just maximizing the amount of track width you have. Jim doing a very good job, just sparks being thrown up by the wheel as it hit the barrier. So the current fastest time of 37.863. We're going to the championship standings. It is currently Jim, James rather now, who is on top with 113 points. Then it's RBZ Arama, who's currently not here, on 94 points. King of Talk also currently not here on 87. GRM Bandit doing a very good job in 4th with 71 points. And Dynamic Carbon, host of the series, not doing as well as he would have hoped for, down in 5th with 63 points. D-Max or Jim Jam on 42 points there, down in 6th. John Wandering on 34 points in 7th. Brandon on 33 points in 8th. Mika's in 9th with 19 points. Roland Jupiter also joint for 9th, they're also on 19 points. And Ayrton Senna actually has raced last time out, it must have been, because they are on 12 points. But they're currently at the bottom of the standings in 11th. As for the team standings, it's Dynamic Racing on 150, and it's Raven West on 113, currently in second. Nookshot Motorsport also on 113, as we're about to get qualifying properly underway. So it's joint for second in the championships, then between Raven West and Nookshot Motorsport. Nuke also not that far behind either on 105 points. Hyper Racing in 5th, they're on 52, and TSR Racing is on 42 points in 6th. Well, it's going to be GRM Bandit currently leading the field out, going on to the first set of laps. Again, maybe not the greatest of tactics based on the fact that you need to slipstream in order to get ahead in this one, and he's probably realised that and has slowed in behind Carbon, but opts to go into the pit lane. He's on medium, so he'll be switching that up, I assume. Probably wanting to start the race on that tyre, but has to switch in the pit lane. But it's Carbon who's actually going to be the first to set a lap. They're on it now. You may remember Blue Moon Bay. We have raced here in the season before. That was the infield A layout. This being the tri-oval, a very deceptively challenging high-speed challenge. So you see Carbon getting really close to the barriers. What's the first time going to be? Not as fast as we saw from practice. It's a 39.2. Ayrton Spanner goes faster with. Actually, they set a 39.2, so Carbon must have set a 39.4. As that's a bit of shuffling of the order. Now James has gone fastest with a 38.8. Ayrton Spanner dropped down to second from that, as some cars have gone into the pits, so it's going to be messing up the timing a little bit. Let's just scrape the wall, and indeed they come into the pits from that. James still going around. Currently at the top of the standings. Of course, the 2.4 seconds, not that representative, as some cars did come into the pits. It's going to be not an improvement on that occasion, it's a 46.0. It's now finding his way into the slipstream of, I believe that might be Brandon. It's either Brandon or Carbon. And he's really using that to his advantage. And indeed, it's 1.1 seconds faster. That's a 37.7. So the slipstream really benefiting James on that particular lap. 1.5 seconds clear of Ayrton Spanner, who is being slipstreamed actually by John Wandering. So John Wandering could be one to watch. They're making their way up towards the line. They do improve, that puts them ahead of Bandit by over a tenth. You can also see as the tyres at these high speeds, they do start to grey out a little bit. So I've finally managed to set up the link. And there we've got GTS Virtual Racers Club. So that's the VRC lads. They are bigging up Callum for the win, so that would be Ayrton Spanner, as there's three cars very close together on track. John Wandering currently at the head of these. As James goes into the pits. Carbon not going to improve on this occasion at that rate. Ayrton Spanner on the apron. They're going to be trying to set one up. Brandon, actually not that far off the time of Ayrton Spanner, so... And they're improving on their own personal best, so this could be a decent one. Still up on their time, so also getting the slipstream from GR and Bandit up ahead, that's really going to help them. That puts them up to 3rd in the standings. That's fantastic lap by Brandon. Dynamic Carbon still going around. We'll go to his onboard just to take you through a lap of the tri-oval. So coming up to the start-finish line. And now the only corner that you'd really have to slow down for, or at least so I would thought, it sounded pretty much like he went flat out through that section. Very impressive stuff from Carbon. Then turn 2, again, extremely high speed. Going to carry as much as you can on the banking, need to be very smooth on your steering inputs. From the final turn, it just slots back into the slipstream. There you can really see the difference the slipstream makes as he makes contact with John Wandering up ahead. And that is a lap. It's an improvement, not quite enough to put him ahead of Ayrton Spanner. Perhaps if John Wandering's car, if he didn't bump into him, that maybe he could have done something, as Ayrton Spanner seemed to have a bit of contact and has indeed picked up damage from that. Thanks again to GTS Virtual Racers Club for your comments there in the chat. Always encouraging to see. As Ayrton Spanner now coming into the pits to repair that damage. James rather, that's going to be one to get used to. Putting on some new softs and waiting. So they're just acknowledging the fact that some cars are coming through. So they're going to hold off the racing line. John didn't do the same. And oh, they nearly spin out, going from the banking, or going onto the banking from the flat. So there's a massive train at the moment. Ayrton Spanner at the back of it, just scraping the wall again. Perhaps using the sparks to heat up the tyres, which is a very interesting strategy, it has to be said. There's a car ghost stood up there. That might be Carbon. That might be Brandon. What can the Judd power plant do as they come on to another lap? They're currently 2nd in the standings. We've had just over half of qualifying gone. And it really has intrigued me, as Ayrton Spanner has actually gone purple in Sector 1. Managed to carry the speed. That Turn 1 is actually flat out in these cars from what I can hear from the engine notes. That's really impressive stuff. Again, Ayrton Spanner purple, but he really needs to be in the slipstream if he's going to gain on James's time. You can see there's a group slipstreaming up ahead. And Ayrton Spanner actually does manage to take pole position by 0.006 of a second, as that is a very laggy car of... was that? That wasn't Dynamic Carbon. That must have been... Brandon, I assume. Or someone else in red. Oh wait, no, Carbon just went to the pit, so it might have been them. And now we see the slipstream group yet again. It's Ayrton Spanner about to come across the line. Bit of bump drafting, courtesy of John Wandering. Not an improvement on that occasion. John Wandering, they are currently 4th in the standings. So the Americans not doing as well as the Brits on the tri-oval. That's a bit of an interesting dynamic going on there. Oh, really using all the track width, scraping the wall with the outside tyres, allowing teammate Nuka also GRM Bandit through. These two, of course, teammates, but you wouldn't really be able to tell that due to the classic liveries they're both running. Very different to each other, but they're using each other's slipstream very cleverly here, are the two Nuka also machines. Of course, John Wonder in the Lotus and Bandit in the Benetton. Oh! Bit of contact between the two. Bandit going into the side of their teammate, lucky to escape with no damage after that. And Spanner back in the pits. Again, these two just using each other's slipstream. Currently at the bottom of the standings, but we're gonna see if either of them can improve. No, doesn't look like it. They really need to find their footing. Perhaps the Dirty Air's not helping out through this corner, and the battling as well, as Bandit scrapes the outside wall, and that is a Ferrari coming up to nearly split them. That was Dynamic Carbon actually who was coming through. And the slipstream train continues throughout qualifying. I believe that's James who's on the back of the train now. Still going round. A car's gone into the pits, that's Bandit. Sparks being thrown up. James back at the top of the standings actually with a 37.5. So again, using the slipstreams managed to put them back on top of Ayrton Spanner. Fantastic engine notes, it has to be said, from these cars at this kind of speed. And it seems that the groups have separated into two different slipstream trains. Actually, someone's just dropped back a fair bit, as James has just gone into the pits. Carbon has as well. Just trying to see, it might have been Ayrton Spanner who was going a bit slow just before turn 2. They're on an outlap, just about going on to one is the Welshman. Really all of the lap time, as you can really see the slipstream gain. Yeah, that's basically where you get pretty much all of your qualifying lap time, is slipstreaming other cars, so you have to be really tactical about it, as there's yellow flags in sector 1. That is a car who seemed to get it wrong on the exit of turn 1, but it's got going again, probably with damage. It might have been John wandering, or it might have been the car ahead of him, which is probably Brandon. Yep, it might have been. And indeed, Brandon coming into the pits. They didn't pick up damage. They're still going, and James is waiting. As Sailor has just joined the lobby, so another Team Black Diamond driver. Assuming they are driving, of course, they might just be a member of the crew, engineers and such. There's another car waiting, so that's Brandon just waiting for cars to go by. They're causing yellow flags, so overtaking won't be allowed. Ayrton Spanner still got it all to do, and they're not up on that lap time. And they're all by themselves on track, so it's really not worked out for them. As my phone has hit the deck, and my phone is now back. So I'm going to have to be very close to the calling for the flag. But we're coming very close to the end of qualifying now. Not much else the drivers can do. We're coming up to the 15-minute mark. I'm still typing using my DualShock as opposed to the keyboard I have on hand, because has the special needs. But we all knew that already, didn't we? And there is the flag warning. So will there be an improvement from Ayrton Spencer? It doesn't seem like it. Nope, no improvement there. James comes across and doesn't improve on that one either. It seemed like that was just an outlap. Dynamic Carbon's actually gone green, so they're on a personal best. That might be enough to upset Ayrton Spencer. But again, they don't have anyone to slipstream going into the last sector, and they've already dropped 3/10 because of that. Sailor is finally on track. Carbon coming into the pits. Yep, the other Team Black Diamond car. There you see him, car 16. Or in fact, is that the exact same livery as Ayrton Spencer? Because it also had a Welsh flag on it and said Callum, so it might be running the exact same livery here without any name changes or updates. But that would pretty much bring qualifying to a close then, and it is BRT James with his new name on pole position, car 44, and it's going to be Ayrton Spencer who lines up alongside. Will they be able to break away on the train of slipstream that's about to ensue? We'll have to see. Brandon, surprisingly, is probably fourth, I'm gonna say, because we saw Carbon who was third. So that would mean Brandon fourth, and GRM Bandit would qualify fifth in the end of things. John Wandering will have to settle for sixth, and Sailor, they didn't set a lap, or at least a provisional lap anyway, due to joining late in the session, and therefore will be starting at the back of the grid. John Wandering in the chat saying I can call him like Jim Clark but not as good today. I would have thought that John Clark would have been a more fitting name, but eh. We'll have to see. I don't actually recall, did Jim Clark ever race at the Indy 500? It wouldn't surprise me, because a lot of Formula 1 drivers back in the day did used to do the Indy 500 as part of their calendar. Sailor just getting in a bit of practice. And indeed, we're having confirmation from John Wandering. Yes, indeed he did. The more you know. I don't have a graphic to put up on the screen, but still. Anyway, Sailor's just improved on that time, it would seem, after qualifying. That's gonna... no, thanks Bandit. But yeah, that might put things out of alignment, although they're still 8.1 seconds back from James' time. So again, fantastic weather for racing yet again at Blue Moon Bay. We've yet to see any rain throughout the entire calendar of DRL Super Formula, or DTM for that matter. So, again, optimal conditions, plenty of fans in attendance. They see some of them up on the hill with all the sponsorship billboards blocking their view. And of course some smoke being kicked up by one of the Team Black Diamond cars. So we're hearing that Slayer is on his way. Slayer being King of Talk. Of course, some of you might not know that due to well, all the different names that some of our competitors have, whether they're GT Planet names, PSN names, Discord names, real names, whatever names. So Ayrton Spencer doing some donuts, celebrating like he's won the race already. His crew in the pit box will be hoping that the tyres don't explode, because that might be quite a bit of costly damage with not that long until the race start for them to repair. Marshall's just stood there menacingly, to quote Patrick Star. So of course, both sets of tyres must be used in this one, the medium and the soft. How you use that to your own strategy is completely up to you. It's going to be a 30-minute race, if I recall correctly, for race 1, and then 20 minutes for race 2. And of course, the race 2 starting order will be decided on a reverse grid of race 1, from what I recall. Reverse from the top 8. And considering there's currently 7 in the lobby, plus 1 for King of Talk when he gets here, that'll be 8, so it should just be a complete reverse grid. Sailors being given a warning for completing laps while under the break period, just trying to get as much practice in as he can, I suppose, but not technically allowed to do so, as it might improve his time. It hasn't, but it could be considered as extra running. It's parked up now. You see John Wondering and Joran Bendit just revving their engines. Both of their cars ghosted at this moment. So he's just testing out turn 1 in particular, which is fair enough. So of course, thanks again for tuning to the stream here today. Dynamic Racing Leagues commentator Nukeshot Zokio here today at a beautiful Blue Moon Bay Speedway on the Tri-Oval, in conjunction with the Real Life Indy 500. This event has got some classic liveries on track, some regular liveries that we've seen throughout the season on track as well, so a combination. Of course, we've got some couple Niki Lauda tributes as well. Hello to your boy Klondike in the chat. Good to see you joining us just before we start the race. King of Talk has just joined the lobby, so things should be getting started as soon as possible. You've just missed out on qualifying, but it was BRT James who stuck it on pole, and Spanner in second, and I believe Dynamic Carbon took third. As sliding into camera view. That must have been Brandon. Didn't quite see who it was, they were ghosted. So, Blue Moon Bay, at least this particular layout, the Speedway, has been likened a little bit to Pocono in the sense that it's a tri-oval. Probably a better infield course, though, it has to be said, than just the weaving. As King of Torque is finally on track there. Going around, they're in their normal dynamic esports BMW powered machine. Still rocking the number 98 on the car and the number 16 on the helmet. Because why not? Anyway, the moment we've been waiting for. It's race time here at Blue Moon Bay Speedway. We've got BRT James on pole in the Raven West Mercedes. We've got Ayrton Spender in the Judd Team Black Diamond on second. We're about to get things underway. We've got Dynamic Carbon third, Brandon fourth, Bandit fifth, John Wanderer in sixth, Sailor seventh, King of Torque eighth. We're about to get racing here at Blue Moon Bay. Green, 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 and the cars are off. It seems to be a relatively average start from pretty much the whole field, not really getting away that much, as they're pretty much going 3 wide in the back through turn 1. That's John Wondering getting into the barrier already, as is Brandon. And already it seems that James is coming under challenge from Ayrton Spender, these two having a slipstream duel already. And Ayrton Spender is our new leader. It's going to be a lot of overtaking to keep up with. Everyone seeming to stay in the train so far on the first lap. These guys not able to break away just yet. So Ayrton Spender leads James rather again. And now Carbon trying to make it 3, fighting for the top position. As even further back there's even more mayhem. See a little bit of contact going off in the back, some onion barges. I believe that's King fighting off with Brandon. And Spencer's still doing a very good job. Carbon still in the mix as well. James going down the inside and retakes second, and we'll be looking to see if they can make a move on the straight. Again, 3 wide as they make their way down to turn 1. Oh, contrasting lines there. You see Carbon actually taking the high line, carried so much more speed, they rocket up into the lead. Again, it's going to be a case of engine strength and staying power. It looks like the 2 new Colosso cars might be dropping off the end of the train a little bit. But with the fighting that's going off, it might be able to catch up. They're 3 wide again, and it's about to be 3 by 3 by the way things are panning out. Oh, there's contact again. James coming with contact with Ayrton Spender. Ayrton Spender on the inside. Oof, extremely close to the wall. And James manages to stick it out there back into the lead, but for how much longer? Because Carbon's coming back on the outside line, and Spender's coming with them, it seems. 3 wide going through turn 2. Just about. And indeed it would seem Bandit has managed to catch back up to the train. John Wandering just about there as well. As King of Torque is now up into the lead as they come across the line. So the BMW Dynamic Esports car coming to very, very good effect after no practice, no qualifying. And now it's James who's once again managed to pull a little bit of a gap. Our pole sitter, of course, extremely close stuff, nearly 4 wide. So King went from first to fourth in essentially 1 straight, as they're making their way round to complete lap 5, going on to lap 6. Brandon is now our current leader of the race, but it looks like King of Torque might be able to get them on the inside. Little bit of contact on the turn-in. Again, just throwing up some sparks. Brandon dropping down the order a bit. They haven't got damage. It looked like they might have a bit from the contact. Ayrton Spender now taking the lead, but on the inside again it's going to be a BRT James and the 2 Ferraris looking. It's nearly 5 wide going into turn 3. And they somehow all managed to survive. Fair play to everyone here for keeping as clean as they can. And we haven't seen any pit stops yet for damage or anything of the like. And all 8 cars are still so close to each other. As soon as I say that, it looks like it's separated a little bit out into 2 groups of 4. Ayrton Senna being challenged by James, who's on the outside line. It looks like the Ferrari of Dynamic Carbon's going to try and carry the speed on the inside as well. But James drops down to 3rd. And the other Team Black Diamond car of Sailor coming into the mix as well, the Norwegian. James registers just ahead on the timing line, 3 wide again going into turn 1. Oh, very close in the back to hitting the barriers. Looks like everyone's just about okay. Ayrton Senna on the inside. Oh, a little bit of onion barges yet again. That was Jim on that occasion. Pretty much everyone within 1 second of each other still. That's the kind of racing you get here at Blue Moon Bay on the Tri-Oval. And these extremely high downforce machines. Again, 3 wide, 4 wide again. And now it seems that the Team Black Diamond cars are coming into their own, as there's something that went off in the back. What was that? That was James! What's happened to James? So James, who was falling back a little bit, just seemed to get tagged and just stopped dead. They picked up major suspension damage from that. So that's really unfortunate. That's probably going to take them out of the running for the win. Unless the rest of the train all gets involved in some kind of massive incident. So that's extremely unfortunate for our Pulse today. He's the first one to fall in the scrap. This fantastic war that's brewing between these guys. Ayrton Senna's starting to get a bit of a gap, hasn't broke away from the slipstream as well. You've also got to consider these guys, as well as the slipstream they're getting, do have the overtake mode available to them, which is going to allow them to get that little bit of extra speed by increasing the rev range. And James probably staying out at this stage, just realizing they can't really afford to lose much more time by going into the pits. At least that's my guess. As Ayrton Senna still fastest. JRM Bandit currently has the fastest lap with the 38.5. So the Nuka Osso entry is doing very well as Carbon goes down the inside into turn 2. And the Team Black Diamond cars are starting to work together a bit to hustle him. Of course, Carbon with his teammate King of Talk in 4th, coming into his own as well. Maybe a bit of bump drafting between the teammates. Something you'd more see in NASCAR than you would in the likes of Super Formula, I would say. Hello to Joe Witt in the chat. Good to see you here. We're having a fantastic scrap here at Blue Moon Bay Speedway. Is Ayrton Senna who currently leads? No, it is Carbon who currently leads, as they're constantly swapping positions. Hello again to Martin Van Rieswick. I probably butchered your name, but hello Martin, good to see you here as well. Extremely close stuff. The only car with damage at this particular stage is James, formerly known as Jim. I had unfortunate contact into turn 1. But besides that, it's 7 cars still with a very decent shot of winning this one. Thanks again for making fun of my pronunciation. It's the 2 Team Black Diamond cars who currently lead us off now, Ayrton Senna and Sailor. Sailor, of course, didn't actually set a lap in qualifying. And now the 2 Ferraris coming into the mix. That's Dynamic Carbon and Brandon. 2 different teams, of course. That's Dynamic Esports for Carbon and Hyper Racing for Brandon. But they're both running Ferrari liveries here today, of course, in tribute of Niki Lauda. Ayrton Senna still leads. They're currently purple through Sector 1. despite not having any slipstream. James's gap to first, it's 14 seconds, and they've actually managed to clear up their suspension damage, so they must have gone into the pits. So my apologies for getting that a little bit wrong earlier. And again, it looks like Carbon is going to try something. We're going to go on board with the car of Ayrton Spence as there's contact with the front wing, it seems. And they somehow managed to avoid getting damage from that. But Ayrton Spence now back in the slipstream of Carbon. They go second in qualifying. Carbon having to use a bit of the overtake to defend. It looks like Ayrton Spence can't quite get a run. I believe the damage is set to heavy. That's generally how it is in these lobbies, as there's a bit of bump drafting again going on. I believe Ayrton Spence might just be getting Carbon to waste his overtake at this stage, as GRM Bandit and John Wandering, the two teammates of Nuka, also have come into the pits. They see them both. So actually John Wandering had a faster pit stop with his crew to get out ahead of Bandit, and both of them are behind James at this point and well out of slipstream range. Those two have got to start working together to make this work. Of course, a mandatory pit stop required, as both sets of the compounds must be used, the soft and the medium. Brandon currently going into the pits now from 5th. I'd say what you generally need to do is just stay out as long as you can with the train, because that way you gain as much time as you can by sticking with these guys because of the slipstream as opposed to pitting. Brandon rejoins in 6th, so in between James and Bandit and John Wandering in the back, these two might actually just about be in the slipstream range, but they are starting to fight each other a little bit as well in the back. Going back to our lead scrap, the two Team Black Diamond cars and the two Dynamic Esports cars staying out. Carbon now takes the lead. Wait, was that Carbon messaging while racing, texting and driving? Are you mad? Unless it was a different Brandon, of course. It might be, of course, Brandon Hay, but he's a bit further back. It might have actually been him during the pit stop, I don't know. But Ayrton Spence still currently leads. This is what I'm saying about these four guys will stay out as long as they can together, because they have this slipstream in numbers. Then again, they are forming a little bit of a slipstreaming pack behind the battle between 6th, 7th and 8th. That's Brandon, John and Bandit. Carbon having to defend a little bit. Now in a Team Black Diamond sandwich. Nearly, not quite. Again, they're using the bump drafting tactics. Fantastic display of the tactics actually between both of these teams. Sailor now up into the lead of things for Team Black Diamond. And even though they are battling, they won't really be losing that much time because of the slipstream, as I've kept on mentioning. It is absolutely key here at the Blue Moon Bay Tri-Oval. Team Black Diamond now 1 and 2 yet again. Dynamic Esports needs to do something. Oh, and apparently Brandon Door is indeed Carbon, as that was King of Torque, it seemed, just scraping the barrier. See if we can get an onboard of this. Oh, there's 3 cars, in fact, just wall riding through turn 1. He hasn't got damage from that, but he is employing Gran Turismo 1 tactics of wall riding, which doesn't really work anymore. Except maybe at Tokyo on the expressway, but These guys again, you can see King of Torque just giving his teammate Carbon a little bit of a push in order to shove him a bit further up. That's the bump drafting in effect. Oh, and Carbon, stop texting and driving, please. The last thing we need is an incident because of that. As there's a slow car actually a bit further back. Let me quickly see what's happened. These guys still fighting. What was this? Oh, it must have been Brandon actually. Brandon with rear aero damage from that. And James having a pit again, as they must have not changed tyre the last time, so they're going on to the mediums now. Still, the scrap continues. The top four still staying out. It looks like King of Torque might drop back a smidge. Indeed, the witty Professor Joe Witt in the chat saying it is probably best to just stay in the slipstream at this point. We've had just about half of the race gone and half of it remaining. There isn't a specific pit window, but a mandatory stop is required, of course, as King of Torque's finally coming back into this mix. Coming up onto lap 25 here at Blue Moon Bay on the tri-oval. The damage is apparently set to light as well, so that explains why it must just be clearing up. I believe for the rest of the championship it's been set to heavy, but it must be set to light on this occasion. Sailor currently leading them away. Team Black Diamond again, as those Ed and Spanner taking a bit of an awkward line through turn 3. They're still going. Again, the Team Black Diamond teammates pulling the bunt draft and probably saving quite a lot of their overtake from that, as you see the smoke coming up. As obviously it wasn't, because it's not a thing in the game, but I'm just going to assume that was the tyres touching on exit. Or pretend, or something. As these guys are a bit further back, this is the other train we was talking about, Brandon, Bandit and John Wondering. These guys are starting to work together a little bit. Brandon's already running a bit low on the overtake mode. You can see the red bit around the airbox inlet. So he's having to use quite a bit of the slipstream. These guys going about 3 wide into turn 1. And it seems that Brandon has got 5th for now. Bandit again going to challenge down the inside. Fantastic scrap going on. James nearly coming to the stage of being lapped. That is a very damaged car. It's BRT James's Raven West machine. It's missing 3 wheels. 1 wheel on that wagon, and somehow it's still rolling along. Unbelievable scenes here at Blue Moon Bay Speedway. I have no idea how on earth this is happening. James is driving a motorized unicycle right now. Maybe that's why he's about to be lapped in terms of the pace, because somehow he must have had a major incident to lose all 3 of those. There he goes. Sparks being thrown up by the cars ahead. A little big contact between the Team Black Diamond teammates. Dynamic Carbon goes purple in Sector 1. Sailor currently holds the fastest lap of a 38.157. We did see some 37s, if I recall correctly, from qualifying. So it's entirely possible. as it looks like there's some more scrapping going on as the plane goes overhead. Of course, Blue Moon Bay Speedway situated very close to an airport actually, as Dynamic Carbon actually just set the new fastest lap of the race on that occasion. As there's even more contact between those two, that might very well be damage to the car of Sailor. It somehow isn't. These four still going at it, and indeed they are ahead of James at this point. Nearly 3 wide. So they make their way down the start-finish straight. Just about 10 minutes to go in this one. These guys, oh, there's more contact. Does it look like does Carbon getting squeezed into the wall on that occasion? Let's just see if we can get a replay of this. Oh, just missed it, it would seem. My apologies for that. Carbon's dropped a fair bit back from the lead group. Carbon's behind James now. They'll be having the slipstream of James. If he wasn't there, then he'd have absolutely no hope of catching up to the lead group, I'd say. But that's potentially Carbon out of this fight, at least for now. Again, it's got to be a question of when do these guys pit? Will it literally be with 1 lap to go at this rate? And if that's the case, how will the other group be doing? The other group going through turn 3, now these guys going through turn 2. Currently Sailor who leads the way, the 2 Team Black Diamond machines first and second. There you see the one-wheeled car of James in the back as well. As it would seem that Carbon has managed to use the scrapping, and James as well, to catch back up to these guys. So good work by Carbon in order to do that. So these guys, indeed, as Joe Witt points out in the chat, will be suffering from a fair bit of understeer as the tyres are really worn out. Carbon texting mid-race as well. I suppose you can afford to do that with it being a lot of straights. Giving pit calls. Quite a lot of teams generally have like team radios with the mics and stuff, but not these guys. So the Team Black Diamond cars will be pretty much unhindered unless James comes involved with that. But both Dynamic Esports cars, the Ferrari and the BMW, in and out again they go, and they're in pretty much their own clear air. So which team is going to be able to work best together? They won't have each other as reference points, the 2 teams. Be an interesting one to see. Going back to this scrap in the lower section of the pack, 5th, 6th and 7th. Brandon still currently leads this one as the understeer kicking on GRM Bandits Benetton, but he's still looking. Does indeed get past. It looks like Brandon will be able to challenge again, will he? No, not quite. The Lotus of John Wandering starting to come into its own as well. He's trying to make it 3 wide, a little bit of a shove to the outside wall it seemed, but probably just a twitch. These guys come across the line again. Bandit comes across, registered as 5th, going on to lap 35. Now this scrap is actually being caught up by the leaders. There you see them in the background. Sailor currently at the head of the field, but they're starting to catch up to the traffic. Now that could really benefit them or really slow them down. Again, the purple in sector 2, so the teammates really working well together as they're 3 wide up ahead, or were. Still fantastic to see. It's like a chess battle rather than a racing battle, just positioning your car right where you need it. We've got 6 minutes to go in this one as the lead group trying to find their way through these guys, as is James coming back through this. James is up into 5th actually, so that was for position. James has somehow managed to get his one-wheeled Raven West car to 5th, which is fantastic to see. But now it looks like John Wondering coming up, as both of the Team Black Diamond cars have indeed pitted. Where is Dynamic Carbon through this? They're going to the last turn. Where will the Team Black Diamond cars come out? You can just about see them going out pit road. It looks like they're just about ahead. It'll be a case of what kind of overspeed the other guys will get. No, I'd say they're too far back. I would say Team Black Diamond has made the right strategy call here. And now they're on the fresher rubber as well. It might take a while to get it up to temperature, but nonetheless, they've managed to get out of the slipstream, or break the slipstream to the Dynamic Esports cars. They just need to keep working together, and then it'll be pretty much just a scrap in the last 5 minutes between the two teammates. There you see the Dynamic Esports cars in the back. James still managing to get his unicycle going at a pace faster than the cars behind. John Wondering just about in the slipstream. Actually, John Wandering's doing alright in 6th, you know. He's broken the slipstream down to Brandon just about. No, not quite the 7/10ths, but what close. So the Lotus is currently in 6th, and it looks like James has just about managed to break off again. It probably seems like James might have the edge a little bit going through turn 1. I believe he did hit later, for tyres at least, than the 3 cars behind him, so that might explain a bit. Still, the top 2 of Team Black Diamond doing a fantastic job. It seems that Carbon's actually managed to break away from their teammate, King of Torque. So King of Torque starting to drop out of this potential fight for the win. But Carbon still very much in it. He just needs to keep focus. He's just about 7/10ths back. In fact, he's just within it. And Carbon has just managed to break the slipstream. He's going to be catching up to these guys yet again. His overtake mode is red, mind you. He's purple in Sector 2. And Carbon is back into the lead scrap with 3 minutes to go. Well, the question is, will King actually be able to do something similar? With 3 of them bump drafting. King looking a little bit shaky out of turn 1, it has to be said, but nonetheless still doing well. Carbon still benefiting from the slipstream. So Joe Witt believes that the Team Like Diamond cars might have been hitting the outside wall at turn 1, which might explain how they managed to catch up. Or it might have just been Carbon using some of that overtake mode. He now splits the Team Black Diamond cars back in that sandwich, side by side with Ed and Spenner. Spenner slots back into the slipstream. 2 minutes to go in this one. It's about 4 laps, 3 or 4 laps. The overtake mode on Carbon's car red. Both of the Team Black Diamond cars still green. Just about 3 wide as they came across the line. Carbon probably just trying to unsettle these guys and allow his teammate to catch up. That might be what he's trying to do. Carbon trying to slingshot his way out of turn 1. And that's a fair point brought up by Joe in the chat. Everyone is using stock setups, as is per usual in the DRL Super Formula Championship, so no real advantage in the car. This is all about strategy and when you time that brake. 2 laps to go in this one. 3 wide still for the lead of the race here at Blue Moon Bay Speedway. And it is indeed looking like King is just outside of the battle for this one. The Team Black Diamond cars starting to act as a little bit of a roadblock. They're going to try their best to secure a 1-2. In what order, who knows? Coming through turn 2. Carbon looking to the inside line.com, and he's just about managed to get up into the lead with 1 lap to go. It's make or break time. What can the 2 teammates do? Coming up to turn 1. That's Sailor going down the inside. Sailor just about manages to get out ahead. The Norwegian doing a good job. He's just about side by side. As it looks like Ayrton Spencer's going for the very outside line, trying to carry a bit more speed. Now Sailor in theory should be using maximum overtake mode at this stage, but it's Carbon who's just about managed to get ahead. There's another jet going across the track. It's going to be extremely close. The checker flag's out and it's going to be Dynamic Carbon who takes the win. 2-on-1 and Dynamic Carbon manages it. Congratulations to them. Everyone's crossed the line already. There's your results. Sailor in second, Ayrton Spencer in third, both a Team Black Diamond, but it is Dynamic Carbon with a fantastic timing on when to break away. Congratulations to them on getting the win in race 1. That was absolutely fantastic scrap. Some of the best racing we've actually seen throughout this series, I have to say. Probably due to the fact of the nature of the oval. It'd be interesting though how it seemed that the Team Black Diamond car still had a bit of that overtake left at the end of the race. But it was Dynamic Carbon there in the Niki Lauda tribute racing suit who took the win from Sailor by 0.061 seconds, so 61 thousandths. The top 3 less than a quarter of a second between them, and then it was King of Talk who was 5 seconds back in the end. The rest of the field was lapped. It was indeed Brandon who did a very good job to get ahead of BRT James actually in the end. So Brandon, congratulations to you for getting 5th. James came home in 6th. Bandit was looking quite strong but comes home in 7th, and John Wander in an unfortunate 8th, but fantastic duel between everyone, it has to be said. And more action coming shortly as we get ready for race 2. Of course it'll be a reverse grid order, so that puts Carbon at the back. That puts John Wander in on pole position. And Carbon's going to have quite a lot of slipstream from back there. We'll have to wait and see how everything pans out. It actually has to be said that pole position of this particular track basically means nothing, considering that you have no slipstream at all at the start, so you're pretty much given to be overtaken unless there's some kind of turn 1 incident. Thanks again, Joe, for the F in the chat for John Wandering and GRM Bandit. No actual main team nuke shot drivers here today. I believe that's because, in Mika's case at least, he's in Berlin at the moment for the Berlin E-Prix. That's going to be happening, I believe, this weekend from what he said. So, him and Felix, or Snipperator as he's known in certain parts, they're going to see that. So hope they are having a fantastic time. And for Arama, I genuinely don't know what happened to Arama. He might have said something I probably forgot. Wouldn't surprise me. So everyone for race 2 anyway has to start on a medium compound. Of course it's 20 minutes on this occasion. And will anyone actually want to pit for the softs? I really doubt it. Because you'll just completely lose out on the slipstream, and the only turn that you really would benefit from having a softer compound is turn 1. And why would I tell King to up his steering sensitivity so he can make turn 1 flat? Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, King, if you're listening in. We've got 11 viewers on the stream here today. That's fantastic, it has to be said. Ayrton Spencer unfortunately has to leave, so after taking a top 3, that's one of the Team Black Diamond cars out. So only 7 cars now. Oh, apparently Joe Witt is tuning in on both his PS4 and the tablet, so fantastic. But still, that would be 10 viewers. Well, 9 because I'm also watching the chat on my phone. Indeed, Carbon telling King to max his steering sensitivity. Yeah, I noticed when I tuned into, I think it was one of Felix's streams, was that I couldn't chat using PS4. Everyone should be switching to the medium compound of tyre. There you see King of Torque. He's currently on the softs, so someone tell him, John Wandering and Sailor to switch tyres at some point. Well, before the race starts, of course. And according to Nuke Shop Motorsport Chief Engineer Joe Witt, 3 on the steering sensitivity should be enough for a pad around here. Carbon and King, if you're listening into that. It'll be actually quite interesting to see who on the grid has a wheel and who is using a DualShock or another kind of pad, a B-Tech DualShock, if you will. I believe most of the field is running DualShocks, I could be mistaken. It wouldn't surprise me if Ayrton Spencer's using a wheel. Carbon, maybe? I'm not 100%. James, I believe, uses a DualShock. Bandit is a DualShock. John Wandering, again, I'd probably say DualShock. Brandon, I have absolutely no idea whether he's using... What? King of Talk is saying that you are wrong, Joe. They're probably going to claim that it's some kind of sabotage or something. I don't know. I can assure you that's more than likely not the case. Joe of the Fire is a very nice person when it comes to that. Well, race 2 here at Blue Moon Bay Speedway in the United States for round 5 of DRL Super Formula. As we said, it's a reverse grid, so John Wandering in the Lotus, rather, on pole. And it's going to be Nuke Owasso teammate GRM Bandit alongside in the Benetton. Didn't get that wrong, didn't call it a Bentley. So, we're about to get racing here for race 2. Green, 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 and the cars are off. That is a very green car of John Wandering. And that is a fantastic start by King of Torque, using the overtake. And he's already up into first from that. Look at that! As someone gets squeezed into the wall. Oh, who was that? That looked like it was Carbon, maybe. Carbon, or perhaps it was Brandon. Everyone avoiding damage, it seems, so far then, but John Wandering has really dropped off the pace as GRM Bandit seem to be fighting for first at this stage. GRM Bandit in the Benetton and his teammate just about coming up as well. Bandit, they cross the line in first place. As interestingly, James has gone into the pits. BRT James thinks that pitting now and going for the softs will overall be faster than just staying with the slipstream pack. That's quite an interesting strategy to go for. Hoping for the slingshot out of turn 1 to be enough of an advantage to eventually catch up. No one else on that strategy, it would seem, at the start. Joe Witt saying that was probably the right strategy call from him. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, everyone is fighting, but they will be having the slipstream. 3 wide yet again. Now it's Carmen up into the lead of things. They make their way through turn 1. A lot of cars scraping the outside barrier. It looked like GRM Bandit was one of those that hit it a bit hard. Going on board with GRM Bandit through here. They see a little bit of a push. Had nothing to go, and that was actually quite a sizable impact. Really surprised they didn't pick up damage from that. But they are down in 6th. And they're out of the slipstream range, but they are not completely out of the chance. Makes you think whether if John Wandering might drop back a little bit so Bandit gets in the slipstream there, and then they both try and work together to catch up to this sort of lead fight which is still developing between Carbon and Sailor. These two both extremely hungry after the last race. Carbon just about taking it on the line. Is having a fight a bit more for this one. Of course, Sailor won't have his teammate for backup on this occasion with that and spend a gun. But nonetheless, they cross the line, registered in first, going on to lap 5. GRM Bandit currently with the fastest lap. Apparently it was James at one point, but it's just changed. So Bandit doing a very good job actually, despite him dropping back a little bit. Brandon apparently might have been involved in an incident or something. I'm not 100% sure on what happened to them. They was just commenting, and then they just sort of started typing. I assume that's because they just dropped out slipstream. Joe says they might have been squeezed into someone. That's certainly a possibility of what happened. Nonetheless, they have managed to stick with the lead pack. The gap down to James is 13 seconds, nearly 14 seconds. You can see the gap going up as everyone ahead of them is slipstreaming together. The gap to the leader is 15.3, which is, interestingly enough, coming down a little bit. It's fluctuating. All this massive impact. That was, looked like John Wandering who had the worst of that. Let's have a replay of this. So it looked like as they had nowhere to really go, as King seemed to hit the barrier and just slow down. So John Wandering had to really just dart out of the way in order to not pick up any damage and stay on the pack. Look how close everyone is yet again. Everyone must be within like a quarter of a second of each other at this stage, as Carbon's actually managed to brake a little bit. Will it be enough? No, it won't. They're being caught up again, reeled in by their teammate who's carrying Brandon along. So Brandon, after having a little bit of an incident earlier on, they are up into third. still scrapping away. James, the only one on the alternate strategy of using the mediums, the softs rather. Everyone else is on mediums. And again, going through turn 1. You see the tyres starting to grey up a bit from the constant high speed of running on the concrete. So perhaps not as grippy as they would have started the race on, just with the tyres being completely clean. A little bit of onion barges yet again. So that Sailor seeming to be on the side there, but Brandon's sort of slotting in as well. And it seems that the new Colosso cars are starting to employ the bump drafting tactic that we saw quite a lot of in the earlier race. Dynamic Carbon currently purple. Brandon currently holds the fastest lap of the 38.4. Sailor now retaking the lead for Team Black Diamond. So again, these guys extremely close. They just about complete lap 10. And it is Carbon who's registered in the lead. These two, King and Carbon, still using the bump draft. As that's Bandit using the very Gran Turismo 1 wall ride tactics. Carbon 2/10 purple in sector 1. No doubt the bump drafting helped him quite a lot. These guys doing a very good job of not really scrapping with each other anymore, and more just sort of settling into their rhythm and just pushing each other along, increasing the pace of the group, as opposed to scrapping for position, which is certainly wise at this stage of the race. Still 12.5 minutes to go in this one, and it's pretty much anyone's game. Even James, if he manages to get enough time. With the slingshot through turn 1. 2/10 again, purple is Dynamic Carbon. But it seemed like Brandon gained that purple lap mainly through the last little sector. You see it's gone down by 2/10. And coming up to the line. So King really helping his teammate along to try and get that fastest lap. It's not quite enough, it's a personal best. But now fastest lap has been set by Sailor with a 38.358. Using the overtake as well as Carbon. These cars should be okay for fuel, I would think. I mean, they were for the last race, so no doubt they'll be fine for this one. Still a little bit of twitching going on. The Dynamic Esports cars starting to box Sailor onto the apron a little bit. That's managed to get them both up ahead. And James has given up after that strategy call. James is gone. Or in fact, he might have had a bit of an incident. We'll see if I can get on board with him. Oh, my apologies. Apparently when a car leaves the track, you can't switch to them even after going to the replay. So that's extremely unfortunate. You didn't quite see what happened. He might have had some the mini-map that might have caught, of course, Joe Witt's eye. There's a massive train going on now. It's a car centipede going into turn 1. Only on lap 15, 10 minutes to go. Looking like it's going to be a 30 lap race or thereabouts. Carbon still leads King of Torque second. So really unfortunate with that strategy call, it has to be said, with James not working out. He is the championship leader. So missing out on this one, as there's more contact in the back between GR and Bandit and Brandon. Let's just quickly see if we can get an onboard of this from Bandit's perspective. Again, easy done. Just a little bit of a pinch. It seemed like Bandit was understeering into the wall before the pinch happened, but nonetheless, as they're 3 wide yet again. Okay, so the order currently stands as Sailor, who's our current leader of the race, Carbon second, King now second, so Carbon third. Everything is currently swapping around. Bandit's now fourth, Brandon fifth, John Wanderer sixth. Carbon now taking the lead of this one. So that's pretty much everyone in the race now. All 6 races now that James has retired, which is still really unfortunate to see. All of them still within a shot of winning this race, and they would have had quite a lot of practice regarding the track now, that because they've had that entire race to learn the tactics and the driving styles of each other on the tri-oval and the slipstreaming as well. That's why everyone's staying a bit closer together than they did in the last one. As well as, of course, the alternate strategies playing out with the new Colossal cars hitting in earlier. Carbon's still doing a very good job holding on to that first place at this point in the Niki Lauda Tribute Ferrari. Of course, Brandon also running one of those. Still scrapping away, is currently in 5th, as it seems that Sailor is coming to just about put a bit of pressure on. His last lap was Carbon's last lap was at 39.2. Sailor with the current fastest, of course, 38.358 because of the slipstream. Carbon's doing a very good job of keeping these guys behind him, and he's got 7 minutes and about 15 seconds in order to keep doing that, although as soon as I say that, Sailor's managed to just about get past. Sailor will be at a massive disadvantage by not having his teammate there to help with the boat drafting, while King of Torque is there, of course, for Carbon. And of course, even GRM Bandit and John Wandering being teammates will probably team prepare me with that. Again, 5 cars in a cluster. It looks like John Wandering's dropped back a little bit, just trying to hang back from the battle. They make their way through turn 1. Yet again, that's a massive squeeze, and that's someone, that's King of Torque who went round. So John Wandering seemed to have a fair bit of damage from that. We're going to quickly see if we can get it. Here it is from King of Torque's perspective. Just a massive incident. That was engine damage, and that's pretty much taken him out of the race. Extremely unfortunate to see from King of Torque. But of course, accidents do happen. It was an incident with either GRM Bandit or John Wandering. He's coming into the pits, even though the damage has cleared up, but he's going to try and go for the softs. Even though I doubt that would really do anything for him with 5 minutes to go. Nevertheless, he's trying something. That's pretty much put him completely out of the scrap for the lead. And now it's a 1v1 between Team Black Diamond and Dynamic Esports, and also coming into the mix now, GRM Bandit. So Bandit doing quite well. Oh, just raising the barrier a little bit. Oh, in fact, he's going a little bit slower. He's got rear aero damage. When did he pick that up? Was it just then on the exit? Oh no, he must have been hit going in. So there you see it. So Bandit's damage will indeed clear up. He chooses to stay out Good thing for him, he managed to stay in the slipstream, so he's not completely out of this one. And it looked for a moment that Carbon was making a break, but no, Sailor's managed to catch him. It looked like he might have managed to break the slipstream of 7/10, but again, Carbon doing, or Sailor rather, doing very well to stick with him. And in fact, that's King of Torque, who's coming up to be a lap down. Dynamic Carbon's overtake mode in the red, so he's used quite a lot of it at this stage in the race. King of Torque staying clear and out of the way. Blue flag's being waved by the marshal on the post. Bandit and Brandon finding as well on the back. And you see Sailor using a little bit of the overtake. In the, you see the light flashing on the back here. They are now doing a bit of bump drafting again. They're looking for the outside, were they? No, they're just sort of staying with him. It seems like they're just trying to keep the overall pace of this group here alive. So that's only these two fighting for the finishing position, and then Sailor will try and slingshot with the slipstream at the end. Again, just looking, going into turn one. He's going to be on the outside. And in fact, that was a fantastic move around the outside to take the lead of this one. Carbon will only come back with the slipstream, but that was a very, very good move, it has to be said. A bit further back, you can see Scrap for 5th is certainly alive. In fact, King just trying to race these guys, it would seem. Which, I suppose, why not? Brandon currently in a podium position. 3rd, so that's a very, very solid job, and they're just about coming into the slipstream again of Dynamic Carbon. Oh, not quite. Not able to carry the kind of speed that the top two are through turn one. So the gap's increased again. Carbon still trying to look. The roll's constantly reversing. Just about coming up to complete lap 27, going on to 28. We've got just about 2 minutes to go in the final race here today at Blue Moon Bay Speedway in the United States on the tri-oval layout. Again, thanks to all of our viewers listening in. Currently 8 of you, according to my electronic device, of course me being one of them, Joe being 2 of them. But still, good to see you hanging on to this extremely fast-paced race. Try saying that 3 times fast. And now, indeed, this scrap between 1st and 2nd is now starting to include 3rd and 4th as well. So that's Brandon and Bandit coming into this. So Brandon having to use a bit of the overtake to keep Bandit behind, but it seems that John Wandering is now just having his own sort of private scrap with King of Torque at this stage. Perhaps King of Torque just trying to act as like a field stabilizer in a way, and just trying to push John Wandering up ahead to the guys a bit further up the order. Perhaps that's what's happening, we'll have to see. Side by side through turn one. Bit of overtake used by Brendan on exit, but it's Bandit who's up into 3rd. It'll be one more lap at the end of this one, and it's still completely all to play for at these closing stages. Blue flag still being shown for King of Torque, of course, being a lap down. But as we go on to lap 1, there's still 4 cars who could potentially win this one, who are in that lead pack. Can it be Sailor who crosses the line, registered in 1st? Will it be Brandon, who's now making his way? Brandon's making a move up to the lead, has to back out a little bit through turn 1. That's allowing Carbon to get a bit of a slingshot. There's contact between the 2 leaders, as Carbon nearly shoved him into the wall. Now look, King of Torque's trying to come back into this. King of Torque still a lap down. Of course, he wants to be involved in helping his teammate or something. It's GRM Bandit who's currently in the lead of this. Can GRM Bandit hold on? They're coming up to the line. It's going to be close. It's going to be GRM Bandit who somehow manages to get the win. Fantastic drive by the American on home soil yet again. What is it with Bandit and Blue Moon Bay? I have absolutely no idea, but fantastic job by Bandit. Timed that run to absolute perfection. Managed to get the jump on his rivals and just fantastically executed. Well done to GRM Bandit on that one. Here are your race results in the end. So GRM Bandit takes the win by 63 thousandths of a second from Brandon, actually. So Brandon managed to get second. It looked like for quite a while that it was mainly going to come down to Carbon and Sailor who were battling for the win. Both of them have to settle for third and fourth on that occasion. So Carbon in third, Sailor fourth, John Wonder in fifth in the end, but only 7/10 back. And King of Talk, of course, a lap down, but was certainly fighting within that scrap. Just for pride, it has to be said, but what a drive from GRM Bandit in that last little section, just timing it to absolute perfection. As I said, that was fantastic to watch. Hearing from Sailor that King apparently went to Narnia in his mirrors, that's interesting. I'll see if I can get Carbon was our race 1 winner, right? Although I think he has said in the past something about interviews, so let's get Bandit in here. We can interview Carbon after this. So just setting up the party. I'll be having an interview with Bandit shortly. What fantastic racing we've seen in both races, it really has to be said. GRM Bandit is with us here in the interview chat. Bandit, you timed that final run to absolute perfection, it has to be said. How are you feeling right now?
Dead inside, honestly. I'm all sorts of sick today, so yeah.
Well, of course, a get well soon then from all of us at the Dynamic Racing Leagues team, but hopefully this win in race 2 has helped brighten up your day a little bit at least.
Yeah, it was alright. To be honest, I'm just looking forward to the final round. You know, maybe getting third place in the championship, who knows.
Well, it was certainly a fantastic drive, I thought, with the timing at least in the last little lap. So again, thanks for joining us here on this interview. I can't really think of anything else to ask. What was your I mean, this is yet another win for you here at Blue Moon Bay. That's certainly something of note. You seem to go really well here on your home circuit.
I mean, let's be honest, the last turn, it's all about blocking the right people at the right time. So you just kind of put it in front of whoever you think has got a better run and see if they'll bump you across the line, I guess. I don't know.
Well, it certainly worked in your favour on that occasion, so well done again. I suppose you'd be feeling a little bit too sick for champagne or any of that, but enjoy it in your own time.
I'm gonna go to my refrigerator. I'm gonna go grab a Dr. Pepper.
Solid choice. Thanks again for being here for the interview, and
Yep.
have a nice rest of your day, of course. Not evening yet.
Radish, take care.
I'll quickly see if I can get Carbon in this. Interview or nah. Again, thanks to all of the viewers who have tuned in this. Joe Witt, John Wandering now, GTS Drag. Good to see you here as well. It's Driftmeister. We've seen some fantastic action today. Carbon has just agreed to an interview. So this is actually going to be the first time I've at least heard his actual voice. I think it might be first time in general. Of course, this is actually the guy who runs the league, runs the channel. I just do the commentary. So we'll see if we can get him in this. Okay, Carbon, if you could quickly just go into party settings and then into voice share settings and see if you can, it should be allow your voice to be shared, and just see if that's on always allow.
Is that it, yeah?
It's on always allow?
Yeah.
Right, so Carbon, it has to be said, a fantastic race won. It seemed to be, in the end it seemed like King seemed to tail off a bit, and it was a 2v1 between you and the team like Diamond Cars, but you managed to pull through and get the win on that occasion. What would you say really helped you to get the win on that one?
I say King more than anything else, like, because he was just bumping me first stint, then I wanted him to come in with me, so I didn't, because had he both come in different laps, we would have just lost it altogether. So he came in with me, we pit, we came out, we were bumping each other, and then for whatever reason, like, the two esports cars just got like a 2.5 second gap when we came out of the pits, and I thought it was over then. But I just managed to I think someone caught, like, down the main straight, they were going too wide, which I didn't really know why, if we were behind them. But yeah, I think King just lost it because he couldn't go flat in turn 1, which is unfortunate for us, but that's how it is sometimes. And yeah, race 1 just got the job done, and I want to dedicate it to Nicky Lauda as well, so that's for him.
Of course, a fantastic result there. Going on to race 2, it looked like it was going to be a very similar story with you and Sailor scrapping for that top position, but in the end it was Bandit and Brandon who were a little bit back a few laps before, managing to come through.
Yeah, I had the lead for quite a bit actually. That surprised me, but we could never really break away from Brandon or Bandit, so it was just a waiting game at the end really, and they just got to run it in the last corner, and that's all she wrote.
Right, so looking forward to the finale, what do you think your chances are regarding championships?
I'm not really sure where I am in the championship. I'm hoping to get top 3. So yeah, if I can just put one at the bag next race, maybe I can get a top 3. But I think Jim or James has it wrapped up, to be fair. Even with the non-shows or DNFs, which he was unfortunate this race, so he should have had a lot more points than he got. So we'll just have to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah, what it was with James, apparently, he ended up pitting for the softs in race 2, but that seemed to really just not be the strategy that worked. So I assume that's why he retired the car in the end. Nonetheless...
Yeah, I don't think anyone was really going to go for that strategy.
Yeah, it did seem like it was a lot faster to just stay with the pack and use the slipstream and bump drafting.
Yeah.
So again, thanks for actually coming along with this interview here today.
Thanks
Anything
for all
you?
the streams.
Oh, no problem. Anything you'd actually like to say to the viewers of your channel?
Well, thanks for tuning in, obviously. Thanks for all the drivers showing up. And I think you put on a good show tonight.
Indeed. So thank you again, Carbon, for having this interview. I'll be leaving you now.
See you soon.
So that pretty much. Oh. Now everyone's wanting an interview. Oh, great. I'll see. I'll get John Wandering in next. Great, I've just got a text message. Consumables are located somewhere in my house. Fantastic. John Wandering. There he is. So, just gonna quickly wait to see if we can get him on. We're gonna have quite a few interviews, it would seem, on this occasion. And we have John Wandering here for a quick interview. John, home race, of course, taking place in the United States in collaboration or like alignment with the Indy 500, of course. How would you actually said that your races went?
Well, a lot like the Indy 500. Cars all over the place. That second race, Bandit with that Indy 500 last second coming out of last turn win.
Yeah,
But my race, it kind of was up and down, you know, cars arrow loose, whatever. But just cars all over the place, banging off each other and kind of killed my momentum a lot. Same in turn one, I couldn't get turn one right, but
it certainly seemed like there was quite a lot of slipstream at play, of course, as we do tend to see at the ovals. It seemed to allow for some fantastically close racing, and I'd argue some of the best racing we've seen all season.
yeah, good thing you didn't ask Bandit that, he'd disagree, but I quite enjoy oval racing. I actually have a chance. It's like drag racing at
I suppose.
200 miles an hour for a period of time instead of a quarter mile.
So, looking forward to the final round of the season. What are you hoping to get out of it?
Well, hopefully Bandit can get a few more podiums. I may or may not be around for that one because I have other stuff to do.
Right, okay, so, also, you and Bandit were two of the cars that actually ran classic liveries here today as part of the little event thing that we've been having take place on this particular race. So, yeah, that's always fantastic to see.
Yes, it is. I don't know, it's just, I pointed out to Bandit because I found it funny because a Niki Lauda car won and a Michael Schumacher car won. So how fitting.
Yep, fair point, of course. I believe Carbon actually said that his race one win he dedicated to the late Niki Lauda, of course. Unfortunate news that we heard this week. But thanks, John, for coming along with some words in this quick little interview. And I hope to see you sometime, probably DRL DTM, which is going to be coming up tomorrow. If not before, we'll have to see.
No problem. More points for radiated bears.
Okay, catch you later, John.
Alright.
Okay, one last interview, and then I promise I'll leave the stream. Oh, we're having so many today. I suppose it makes up for the lack of interviews we've had in a couple of the last streams. Okay, Brandon. Where on earth is Brandon? Is he not on my friends list? That's a bit odd. I'll have to type out his name manually. Can't actually recall if we've had Brandon on an interview before. This course is going to eventually be my co-commentator who does stuff on Twitch. Brandon, if you could quickly just go into party settings and check to see if yours is on always share or whatever it is. Always allow.
Yeah.
Okay, is it clear?
Yeah, it's on. It's on.
Alright. So, Brandon, bit of a no man's land sort of race one, it has to be said, but race two, taking second, it seems to be a very, very solid result. Your thoughts on that?
I'd like to say we underperformed in most of the races this season, but yeah, I'm definitely happy with the result I got today. I'm lucky that my teammate couldn't be here to support us, try and bring home more points from today, but yeah, definitely happy with the result.
Regarding the actual finish, it seemed like it was mainly going to be a scrap between Carbon and Sailor for top honors, but then you and Bandit had to, it seemed to work together in order to catch them back up, and that allowed you both to take first and second on the podium. So was there any sort of tactics involved with that?
Not to my knowledge, but I think it was just turn three. We both kind of slingshotted out on the slipstream of Carbon and Sailor, and ended up obviously battling just milliseconds in the finish. But I feel like if I had some overtake, it could have been even closer. But, yeah.
So, speaking about that, did you actually think there's anything else that you could have done to perhaps get that little bit of extra speed and time in order of potentially have taken the race win here today?
Yeah, there were a few times where the pack were all in a single file line against the barriers and I wasn't, which did hurt me a bit. I was trying to get as close as I can just to see if it would give me slipstream. But apart from that, I don't really think so. I think race one I was unlucky a few times. I got squeezed against the wall, but it is what it is. Nothing I can do now. So.
Of course, second would be, I believe, your best result of the season so far. Am I correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So congratulations with that, of course, making it onto the second step of the podium. Thanks for this quick little interview, of course. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good time.
Yeah. You too.
And with that, I believe we're finally done with the interviews. So, certainly an action-packed evening we've had here today at Blue Moon Bay Speedway. Of course, the tri-oval, Pocono inspired in a way. Who really knows? It was fantastic to watch either way. The closest racing we've seen by far throughout the DRL Super Formula season. Probably the cleanest as well. Of course, it helps that it's a bit of a simpler circuit. We've just heard word in that Dynamic Esports has just won the Constructors' Championships, so congratulations to them. And it's still not known at this particular stage whether James has won the Drivers' Championship. Maybe that will be confirmed at a later date. We'll have to wait and see. But again, thanks to all of our fantastic viewers for tuning in to the action here today. I've certainly enjoyed it. I hope you have too. Join us tomorrow for Dynamic Racing League's DTM, another fantastically close fought championship, as we move on to round 7, I believe, in that. So it's going to be yet another interesting one. And of course next week, same time, same place. Not same place actually, just going to a different track for the season finale of DRL Super Formula, if I recall, it being the season finale. So join us there to see how everything pans out. Until then, I have been Nukeshot Zokyo on Dynamic Racing League, still not part of the Radio Show Limited network of channels, and we'll hope to see you next time. Goodbye, folks.